Fireworks at the Fair. Written by Rose Rosio. Read by Arashi. Himiko exhales. Her breath materializes in front of her, a cloud of smoke, stark against the darkened sky. Tenko hums. Her hand is gripping Himiko's tightly. The only thing between them is the woolly fabric of the two separate gloves. Despite the sub-zero temperatures, Tenko is clad in a thin, woolly jumper and a sleeveless coat, as well as a skirt. Thankfully, she's wearing thermal tights so as to prevent her legs from freezing off. Himiko briefly wonders if she used a spell to make herself immune to the cold. On the other hand, Himiko is bundled up in a long winter coat, donning a red scarf and red earmuffs. She also has red fluffy socks on, but those remain concealed by the boots she's wearing. In her other hand, she is tightly gripping her ticket, ready to present it to the booth in order to enter the fair Tenko asked her to on a date. "Have you got your ticket?" Tenko asks as they near the fair, turning to Himiko. Himiko nods, holding it up for Tenko to see. Tenko smiles, her nose red from the bitter frost biting her skin. But somehow it's cute as she excitedly says, "Okay!" and quickens her pace, a result of her excitement. It's not long before they make it to the booth. They manage to get in with ease, and when they step in, Himiko's blinded by the various colors and lights, as well as deafened by the blaring music. "I am so excited to be here with Himiko!" Tenko squeals, clenching her now freed hands into her fists and raising them above her head. "Where should we go first? There? Oh, maybe there."
"Yeah, I don't know. You pick,"
Himiko says. Tenko nods slowly and holds her hand out to Himiko, ready to be held again. Himiko accepts, clamping Tenko's hand and pulling herself closer to the taller girl. What seems like a minute passes of Tenko looking around nervously, and Himiko decides to help her out a little.
"Yeah, what's wrong, Tenko?"
Tenko startles before laughing nervously. Oh, sorry. I just don't know where you would like to go."
"Just pick where you like."
"Wherever you like is where I like." Himiko brings a hand to her head.
"Stop confusing me. Let's just walk around and see if we find anything we both like."
Tenko obliges, drinking in all the sights and music and lights. Admittedly, this kind of place is not really Himiko's scene, what with all the noise and lack of comfortable resting places, but Tenko's presence balances out all the negatives, so she guesses it's okay. "Wow, they're selling gifts over here!" Tenko practically leaps into a stall lined with fancy ornaments and trinkets. The sign above them reads, "Christmas presents."
"I've bought all the presents I need to give to people," Himiko says. "But I have to admit, these are nice."
Tenko stares at her for a moment. "You think so?"
"Yeah, especially that one."
Tenko's gaze follows to where Himiko is pointing, a small cat trinket, made of silver and adorned with black jewels. The cat plays with a witch's hat beneath its paw. "No wonder you like it," Tenko says.
"Yes, I'm a mage. I think I was drawn to it."
Her gaze lingering on Himiko, Tenko smiles before stepping up to the counter. Before Himiko can say anything, she's bought the cat, thrusting it into Himiko's hands with a slightly embarrassed, yet still proud look on her face. "Here you go," she says. "Think of it as an early Christmas present." Himiko silently wishes she had worn her mage's hat today to cover up her furious blush as she avoids Tenko's stare, mumbling a quiet thank you. She slips it into her pocket after admiring it for a second, then returns her hand to Tenko. They continue to walk, chattering and giggling to each other, until Tenko abruptly stops, eyes filled with awe. Confused, Himiko looks to where Tenko is looking, a large Ferris wheel, towering against all the attractions, spinning against the ebony horizon. "Wow!" Tenko cries. "We need to go on that!" Involuntarily, Himiko's teeth begin to chatter. She chalks it down to the cold, but her grip on Tenko's hand tightens.
"Are you sure? It looks a bit high."
Tenko looks back at her. "Uh-huh. Are you scared?"
"Of course not."
Tenko giggles. "Oh, there's no need to be frightened. I'll be there with you." Himiko rolls her eyes playfully, but Tenko's affirmation calms her quite a bit, so she allows herself to walk next to Tenko as they join the back of the queue. The queue is long, and it winds a bit, but the two both find themselves occupied as they entertain each other simply by talking. "It's such a shame that we might miss the fireworks by waiting in this queue," Tenko mentions offhandedly.
"Fireworks?"
Himiko repeats. "Yeah, the ones at 8 o'clock. What's the time right now?" Himiko pulls out her phone, glances at the screen, then replies,
"It's 7 to 8.
Tenko's shoulders slump a little, but she brushes it off as they move forward. "Oh well, we're nearly there. I'm so excited." They continue to move forward until they reach the front, and Himiko can feel Tenko practically vibrating in excitement. Himiko's shaking too, and she reassures herself it's definitely because of the cold, because there's no way she's scared. No way at all. "For the two of us, please," Tenko announces to the person managing the ride, who nods and lets them both on, before buckling them in. Himiko squirms on the cold plastic seats, attempting but failing to stop herself from shaking. Tenko, on the other hand, bounces up and down in joy, squealing about how excited she is. The next people in the queue ask to be led on, and suddenly the ride begins to rise backwards, and Himiko's heart drops in her stomach. With a yelp, she grabs Tenko, wrapping her arms around her and stiffening in that position, eyes wide. "Oh, that was so cute!" Himiko tries to grumble in reply, but she's too shaken up, so instead she remains in that position, anxiously turning her head to below her as she rests it against Tenko. The next people get buckled in, and then everyone's moved up again. A few scattered screams accompany them as Himiko squeezes her eyes closed, still tightly gripping onto Tenko. "The last people are about to get on," Tenko announces happily. "Then it's going to start." To that, Himiko clings even harder, scrunching up Tenko's coat in between her clammy fists as her entire body jitters. Their seat suddenly rocks forward, and Tenko gives a surprised squeal. And then they begin to rise. It starts off slow, and Himiko's nerves seem to relax a bit, before the entire ride shoots forward, and a wave of screams fill her ears, and she's pretty sure she joins in. But everything seems hazy, as all she can focus on is her shallow breathing. A full rotation passes, and Himiko feels dizzy. It's almost like she can hear someone calling out her name. "Himiko! Himiko, look!" The thing she's resting on shakes her head, and, when Himiko opens her eyes, she's met with Tenko's exhilarated expression, her cheeks pink and eyes wide in amazement as she points forward. Himiko squints, her eyes slightly blurry from shutting them so tightly, when she's suddenly startled by a loud pop. Sparkles of light stain the velvet night. A light shoots up and explodes all over the stars, the delayed banging sound making Himiko jump again.
"Fireworks,"
she whispers, forgetting her anxieties as she unfolds herself from Tenko, still leaning against her and holding her hand. She doesn't even notice the ride stop prematurely so that everyone can watch the display of mesmerizing light, nor the fact that she and Tenko have, for some miracle, been stopped at the very highest point of the ride, giving them a near perfect view of the fireworks. And now, Himiko can't find it in herself to be scared. Instead, she watches, mesmerized. A green firework explodes, and a quick thought flashes through her mind.
"That's the same color as your eyes,"
Himiko says, turning to Tenko, only to find Tenko already staring at her. And when she sees Tenko's eyes quickly dart to her lips, and then back to meet her gaze, Himiko surges forward, pressing their lips together. Another firework goes off. Himiko jumps. Tenko laughs, pulling away and wrapping her arm around Himiko's shoulders, their heads leaning against each other as they turn back to the display. And it's beautiful.